You can do it. That's a tough act to follow. Gail, thank you for those great words. It wasn't too different in our household either. Mom and Dad would come out on the porch, come to dinner. The street lights came on. We also had coasters. We lived on a hill in Berkeley. And we took it another step further. The Jaspers next door put an electric motor from a washing machine on, and we could roll that thing up the hill. It was great. We had the whole deal. Thank you for those kind words about John. So, in 1916, Jack London made this statement: the proper function of man is to live, not exist. I shall not waste my days trying to prolong them. I shall use my time. Those adjectives like active, passionate, describe John Younghein. He was a great, great man. Now this may come as a surprise to Monica, Meredith, and Andrew. Johnny wasn't a perfect man. But he was the best friend you could have. If Johnny liked you, you were a friend for life. I was looking for my first job, full-time job, and I walked down the street, Shattuck Avenue, and Larry Ginsberg, where are you? Larry Ginsberg hired me as a stock boy at Cal Hi-Fi in Berkeley. I didn't know it at the time, but as Gail said, Johnny was working for Cal Hi-Fi in San Francisco. The business was really fast-paced, and really not too many months later, Johnny got promoted to be the manager of this Oakland store across from the Paramount Theater on Broadway. Right. I joined the team as a salesperson, and that was the time when the Oakland A's began their World Series run. We sold stereos to some of the ball players. Heck, later on, Blue Moon Odom and I played golf together. You remember? Yes, I bought a stereo from the guy with the curly hair. That was Johnny. So, Johnny and I formed a friendship that lasted. It was very enduring. That we and a bunch of like-minded people rented a house at South Lake Tahoe at Pinewood Village. And every year we went skiing. Great deal. We had Tuesdays and Wednesdays off because he's the manager. And so we'd drive up to Tahoe Monday night, stop at the Harvey's Casino, have dinner at the stage room, visit with my brother who had a great job as a ski bum, and went skiing. So it was he had a great trick too. We never worried about the snow on the road. We each had extra tires with wheels and snow chains on us. With the snow was that we jacked the car, swap the wheel sets out, continue on our way. One year, there was a weekend that I didn't get to go skiing. I don't know what it was, hit some commitment or something. And it was a good call on my part. Johnny made the California Highway Patrol magazine with the headline, "Go Bump Without a Lump." Johnny had personal license plates, "Go Bump." This car had skidded off Highway 50, hit a tree, and totally crushed the passenger compartment. So I didn't ski that week. Neither did John.
You know, that's not the story I heard. I heard you were.
These are the. Yeah, I thought this would come up. Johnny was a salesman. This is the true story. I would lie to you. Now, when Johnny was younger, he liked to go camping too. And a Cub Scout, I think he didn't get very far. I had my first brand new car, a '74 Mustang hatchback, and we were coming through Yosemite, decided to camp out at White Wolf Campgrounds at the High Sierras. We pulled into the campground, and this family of 3 bears was crossing over where we were going to sleep. We watched as they trundled out of sight. I go, "Looks safe now." So we pitched the tent to go to sleep. When we got up the next morning, the car right next to mine, I guess, must have had food. They smashed the windows and torn up the interior. Oh, it's good times. So after Cal Hi-Fi, both of us moved over to Pacific Stereo. We worked at the flagship store for a while together with the likes of, I've got to read this list, Charlie Morning, George Heckman, Billy Pearlstein, Artie Stein, Tony McCauley, Danny McCloskey, Ralph Bankus, Mary Miller, Pam Sanders, Hunter McDonald, Frank Bolton, and Noel Farmer.
And John Bass.
And John Bass, thank you.
Johnny Bass, yeah.
This is all the front page guys. I was more of the second page kind of salesperson. But they used to run an instant credit promotion where you have a driver's license, checking account, one other form of ID, and you can get instant credit up to a certain amount. Not everybody filled out those paperwork properly. And I think the manager was Frank the Paint. He told us to go up to repossess a stereo that we purchased on a fraudulent instant credit application. But we said, sure, yeah, we'll do that. We're not criminals. Not yet. So, based on his driver's license and credit app, he was living in Hangtown, which is Placerville on Highway 50. So we decided after we finished skiing, coming home, we stopped at the sheriff's office and asked him, where this guy is sort of shaking. He goes, yeah, we've got our eye on him. We think he has a house full of stolen equipment, gear. And so we go, oh, okay. He says, but don't go there, because if you knock on the door, he will just say, hey, somebody came and stole the stereo, and we'll be none better off. We won't get the stereo back, anything. We took that good advice, went to the house anyway. So, and we got to the door was open. Went in, nobody home. We decided, hey, let's unhook this puppy and throw it in the back of Johnny's car. As we were leaving, this is the honest to God truth, less than a block away, here comes the guy in his Porsche 911. I duck down, Johnny hits the gas. No criminal record. One of the great perks of working at Pacific Stereo was the Bay Area seating service. We had first access to all the hot shows in Northern California. We went and saw Crosby, Stills and Nash & Young, Fifth Row Center at the Oakland Coliseum, Elton John. We saw Paul McCartney and Wings, just you name it. But the most important one was the Who played Winterland, limited seats, like 3,000 seats. Johnny and I got tickets, and I took my wife, first date, 1976, and they said it wouldn't last. We had motorcycles. In fact, the Sombrero boys are here. Johnny and I each had the top of the line BMW R90S, beautiful sport bikes. And we had Silver Smoke Gourmet Touring Society. I didn't stay at motorcycles too long, but Johnny stayed for a long, long time and went to Newton, Colorado. We had some great times. Johnny went on to go on trips to the Alps, Scandinavia, New Zealand, Eastern Sierras, all over the place. And the best thing that happened, that's the Gins, man. Johnny introduced me to Dale Sprock in 1981, and another lifelong friendship developed. Johnny and Frank Leonardi went on to Wilkins Mason, Sony, Bell South, and then finally Apple. I stayed with Pioneer, headed up the marketing department for their Laserdisc division. I still got some if you need. So about that time we were having children, and our priorities changed, but we stayed in touch. Johnny was always a car guy, as you'll see. He had the Mazda RX-7, Audi Turbo 5000, 58-bit Hemi Barracuda, and so many more. But there's one car that stands out that just was sort of an anachronism. It doesn't quite fit. At my wedding in January '77, he showed up in a 1977 Oldsmobile Cutlass, white, with white sidewall tires, white vinyl top, white interior. He must have been a pimp mobile. It's the only way to describe it. He owned more cars than most people own shoes. And I think Monica can attest to this. At one time, he had 9 cars and multiple motorcycles. The man had wings. And in '92, Johnny and Monica purchased the equipment and bottling rights to Brillianized. And with the help of friends at Apple and Fry's, they developed the clear screen and eye clear business. Initially, it was true entrepreneurial style. They packaged, bottled, and did everything out of their garage. In fact, Meredith and his friends in high school came over the weekends to build product for sale. After about 3 or 4 years, finally Apple took notice, brought the product in for worldwide distribution, and we were along the way. In 2006, Johnny offered me a job managing the industrial business. And we worked our butts off, selling just boatloads of product at the trade shows. And as Meredith mentioned, in 2008, Johnny sent me this email. I guess he had some thoughts he might not make it home from this motorcycle trip. Listed all these songs. And music was so important to us. We were so lucky. Rock and roll, the British invasion, singer-songwriters, the blues, jazz, everything. And all the songs I agreed. But now I know why. There was one song that stood out. It's MacArthur Park. You think you know something, and then he chooses that song. Well, now you know why. But every other song, Dock of the Bay, Ferry Controversy, Satisfaction, all tops. I continued to work with Johnny till just after the pandemic, and it wasn't a week would go by, I would get 3 or 4 calls. Why do you do this? What's going on with Amazon? How do I handle that? And now I realize I miss those calls. Johnny was a great guy, and I miss you, brother.